In Donald Trump's final day as a candidate, a reporter is unearthing the trash that his staff is slinging behind the garbage man's back, and I have the full story for you next. If you're like me, you've had plenty of jobs in your lifetime, and you've had some bosses you loved, and you had some bosses you loathed. But in the latter cases, you hung in there despite their dysfunction or callousness because the money was good, the job was a resume builder, or you believed in the mission. Now imagine that you're a Trump staffer and you've had it up to here with the oddness, the racism, and authoritarian madness. Do you quit? Many have, and their stories have been well documented. But this report is about the staffers who have remained and tattle on Trump's toxicity. The reporter they tattled to is Tim Alberta of The Atlantic, and he outlined his article for CNN. The first question is a probe into the mind of Trump. Does he think he can win, or is he simply maintaining a brave and bronzed face? And they explore the moment his staff might have lost confidence in their commander-in-chief.
He spoke with nearly a dozen of Trump's aides and advisors for his latest article, headlined, quote, "Inside the Ruthless, Restless Final Days of Trump's Campaign." Do you think Trump thinks he's going to win the election?
He does believe that he's going to win. And I think as of a few weeks ago, people close to him were still pretty bullish on his prospects. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. I think that there is a real fear that the bottom has started to fall out here at the worst possible moment, and that they are closing about as weak a fashion as you possibly could. If sprinting through the tape is at one extreme, I think sort of crawling or limping through the tape is at the other, and that's how a lot of the Trump folks feel right now.
In this next clip, Alberta describes the conditions and feelings that Trump staffers are having, and he answers the question, do they even care if he wins?
No. Okay, so you write in your article that many Trump campaign staffers told you earlier this year that they were excited, they were fired up, they were excited to work in a Trump White House if he won. And now, though, you report, win or lose, they were done with the chaos of Donald Trump, even if the nation was not.
And I can say this with certainty because I've had these conversations with them who work for Donald Trump, who will not be upset if he loses. I'll put it that way. I think that whatever exhaustion, whatever fatigue, whatever exasperation the median American voter feels with Donald Trump, amplify that by about 10 million and consider those who have found themselves working for the man day in and day out for the past, 18 to 20 months, only to see him sort of sabotaging their efforts down the stretch of this campaign. And of course, Aaron, when I say that, anyone listening might say, justifiably so, well, la-di-da, these people decided to work for him in the first place and they deserve what they get. Sure, I'm not arguing anything to the contrary. I am saying, though, that through the prism of a political consultant who made a decision to go to work for this guy and try to elect him, I think for a lot of those folks, they sort of made a certain peace with doing this job, and now they have sort of come to find out how bad it really can be.
And now let's look at Donald's greatest hits from Alberta's article that takes us behind the scenes of Team Trump. It begins with his deranged thinking said out loud after his debate performance against Joe Biden. The guy's a retard. He's retarded. I think that's what I'll start calling him, Trump declared aboard his campaign plane en route to a rally that evening. This according to 3 people who heard him make the remarks. Retarded Joe Biden. And the article goes on to say that staffers had to plead with him not to. And over the next several days, as Trump's aides held their breath, convinced he would debut his latest slur at any moment, the former president's ugliest impulses were regularly curbed by his top advisors. His most obnoxious allies and most outlandish ideas were sidelined. These guardrails had produced a professional campaign, a campaign that was headed for victory, but now like a predator toying with a wounded catch, Trump had become bored. And after Alberta described the diabolical dysfunction that resulted from the appearance of oddities like Laura Loomer, he shared more well-known messes that Trump's staff had to clean up after. The 40 minutes he spent on stage in Pennsylvania swaying silently to music prompted aides to exchange frenzied messages wondering whether the audio could be cut to get him off stage. Ultimately, they decided letting him dance was less dangerous than letting him rant. A week later, back in the all-important Commonwealth for another event, he left aides slack-jawed by marveling at the ample genitalia of the late golf legend Arnold Palmer. What a cacophony of chaos Donald Trump is in Alberta revealed that everyone in his orbit has to pay a steep price. So, will all of America continue to pay that price with 4 more years? I will give Alberta the final word, and although he listed a litany of stories to why Donald Trump is unfit for office, in the article you should go check out at theatlantic.com, there's a chilling possibility that still exists if voters do not turn out today to stick a stake through the heart of the MAGA movement.
Well, the words you use there, train wreck in these final weeks, and we'll see whether that train can emerge victorious or not in light of all this reporting.
And he can still win, despite
Yes.
despite all of it, Aaron.
Yeah.
He could still win.
Absolutely.
Very, very easily.